Welcome, everyone. My name is Kathy Lukeman from Olivet Nazarene University. I'm a member of the Salesforce.org Higher Education Advisory Council, and I will be the moderator for this session. We will be using the session chat window quite a bit, but feel free to use the Q&A tab so that we can get any questions that you have, and we'll answer them toward the end. I'm super excited today to introduce Quentin Hyman and Bishop Bradshaw from Santa Fe College for closing cases and opening doors, taking the pain points out of student service. And with that, I'll turn it over to Quentin and Bishop to get us started.
Thank you, Kathy. We can certainly promise plenty of talk today about cases and opening doors and hopefully some pain points that we can deal with as well. I'm going to hopefully get this sharing working here, and then we will get started. Let me put this on. I think that's probably it. Hopefully you can see me, and we'll get started here. Again, as Kathy told you, my name is Quentin Hyman. I am the Director of Student Recruitment at Santa Fe College. Now, Santa Fe College is not in New Mexico. We are in Florida, where I've been told we're not allowed to complain about it being cold because it's much colder in a lot of places that you are. But Santa Fe College is a community college in North Central Florida. We were honored with the Aspen Institute Award a couple of years ago as the best community college in the country. And we work hard, and we have to be clever in terms of the things we do. One of the clever things we did was hire Bishop Bradshaw. You're going to get to know Bishop here in a few minutes. So he's going to talk about a case study that we did on case management. Here's a roadmap that we'll talk about. Again, as I said earlier, we're going to talk about how we've used case in Salesforce to help open doors for students and hopefully reduce some of that pain that I promised that we talk about. We'll tell you what we did. We'll tell you how and sort of why we did it. Do the case study, the case study. I will try not to be too redundant in using that word today, and then we'll talk about what comes next. A few years ago, I came to Santa Fe College about 9 years ago. And at the time, we didn't have a CRM. So we brought aboard Salesforce, really just focused on student recruitment, which was what I was hired to do. At the time, the college was really sort of mired in 20th century sort of techniques, a lot of face-to-face recruitment, and we know we had to do more digitally. So we started this slow evolution in Salesforce, really toward certainly a beginning use of Sales Cloud, but then more to Service Cloud and case management. And we know that with the pandemic in 2020, that evolution very quickly could turn into revolution. So what we know about revolution is it can't happen overnight, and we certainly saw that happen. And we know that revolution can be painful, and certainly that has been and was when things initially happened. But because we had started making this evolution toward case management, we sort of brought case to the rescue. I promise not to use too many of these silly puns as we go here, but in this case, case was a salve to the wound that we were already facing in terms of dealing with student recruitment. And in this case, it was more than a bandage. It was an opportunity to really heal and move us in the direction we needed to go. I'll tell you where it got us, first of all, which is, you're supposed to tell them, kind of where you ended up. We've seen a 50% increase in staff efficiency since really making case the center of what we do. And we'll tell you how in a second. And we've seen more than double an increase in student engagement. And that's not just us sending out stuff to students, that's students re-engaging us as well. That's building relationships with students, which, what case management and relationship building is really all about.
Hey,
so
Quentin,
as I said earlier,
interrupt for a sec?
Sure.
We are not seeing your screen.
Oh no! Well, let's try to change.
We love seeing you.
You know what? That's
talking, but we're not seeing your
fantastic.
Screen.
Let's try to share that again. I apologize for that. Let's do that.
No worries.
And let's try that. Hopefully you can see it now.
Yes, we can now.
Okay, I'm not going to go back. We're going to keep going. We were siloed in Salesforce at the beginning, as I said earlier, focused on student recruitment, also in recruiting international students. We grew that silo, and now for some reason I can't get the, there we go. Let's try to put it on slideshow. Hopefully that's better. Is that better, Kathy? Can you see that better at this point?
Sure can.
Okay, good. All right, so from that silo, we grew an integration to a couple of other offices on campus, specifically financial aid and our academic advisors, but we were still focusing on leads and Sales Cloud. But with the pandemic and with the slow development of case management, we've now grown that into a full digital integration, not quite across all of campus, but literally dozens of offices that now have their data in our Salesforce ecosystem. And we're using case management, as Bishop will show you as an example in a second, to deal with student inquiries, managing a walk-in queue, but we don't have any ERP integration yet. We have a homegrown ERP, which I know is different than a lot of what many of you at larger universities have to deal with. So we've been grappling with that for a long time, and limited staff. It's literally Bishop and me to support an organization and a structure in Salesforce that supports 20,000 students or more now. And it's really mainly Bishop, and he'll talk more about that in a second. And we've certainly had limited resources, but we focused again on sales and now Service Cloud and an appointment app that we added over the past several years. We don't spend a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money to spend in Salesforce and our digital tools. It's a little under $100 a day, and we're going to show you an example of what we've been able to do, really leveraging that basic functionality. Bishop is going to tell you now about a case study with financial aid. Bishop.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bishop Bradshaw. I'm an admissions specialist and Salesforce at Santa Fe College. For this case study, we want to focus on the financial aid lobby. The financial aid lobby was the third lobby we actually developed in our Salesforce, first being admissions and international student services. We picked this lobby just because it's a pretty expansive system, and we worked a lot with the team to make it everything that they need. So currently there are 6 ways you can actually visit in person, a virtual visit, email to case. So if they email a specific email, it'll actually create a case and go into the lobby queue. The call center also submit queue. Event signups, so registrations, webinars, and everything goes into the same interface. We get different cases from the lobbies throughout campus. So admissions lobby can actually escalate a case to financial aid if they need to answer an issue. Next slide. Yep. So there's a lot of key components to our admissions, or to our actual Salesforce lobbies. One of the most important component is record types. Record types are used to distinguish the different levels of management within the financial and the different departments that are throughout office, and also the internal teams within financial aid. It all is determined by record types. So that determines the fields, the view, the interface, and who can actually see these types of records. Case owners is also an important aspect. It gives people the specific access to this data, whoever the case owner is. And then is the escalation process, which I mentioned. Currently, there are 2 types of escalations that we use for our lobbies. So we have the internal side of escalation for financial aid, escalation lobbies throughout campus. We can hop to the next slide. I can show you an example of the internal view. So right here's an example of the interface of a list view of a lobby interface of just requests that are coming into financial aid. In that screen right here, where you see the drop down where it says escalate, so you a financial aid staff deals with an issue, they can actually escalate. They can actually escalate the record to another team, another specialist to answer. Data is saved once it's escalated, so you know who actually saw this individual beforehand, and also the notes that involve it. The next slide is an example of escalating between different departments. In this view, in the second section, you'll see another drop down, and in this area, we have a variety of different Salesforce lobbies that you can escalate it to. Admissions lobby, international, we have the records off, student services, and this is basically for, if a certain individual comes in and they need assistance from a different department, instead of sending them over, they can just escalate it to these different departments where it populates in their lobby queue where they will answer in a timely fashion. And there's also data collection behind it where you can see the history of all the interactions with the lobby. Some other key components that we have here are email to case, and as there's a specific financial aid email that we use, that the way it works is email this email with your SF College domain. then it's actually created to a case within the lobby queue where it is answered in a timely fashion where staff monitors consistently. But if it's answered, or if the email is emailed by individual without a Santa Fe domain, then they're actually receiving messaging that says, we only communicate with students through this email, and it's not actually created a case. It just creates like a loop for them. Some other components are appointment integration. So all of the registrations, webinar events, all they're virtual or in person, also populate in their live interface that they can. And then we also have tasks and event objects. So we have reminders for certain cases that may be time sensitive. There's also logging calls. So any type of call that comes in, the staff member can actually log the call and document all the history, which this case is always going to be attached to a contact record so that you can always just look at a contact and look at all the interactions throughout the different lobbies. So components of the financial are just matching rules and duplication rules so that, related cases are matched with contact records. We have a quick case form for financial aid where we can quickly enter in data. So if there's a call center request, staff can quickly enter data, which populates within the lobby system. Our lobbies are situated with a survey email when cases close. So, and different types of emails depending on what the record was, just to receive feedback. We have dashboard report, and this is just for an overall 50,000 view for coordinators and people who are just monitoring the daily, weekly, and monthly interactions in the lobby. And the next slide is just an example of some of our dashboards. And some of this is just detailing the closed cases, the rates, who's seeing who, escalation processes, and we filter this out through and days. And there's also an expensive reporting system where we made it all case records can all be situated in a single report and filtered out, so you can look at all the escalated cases, document on all the different types of interactions that happened in each lobby system.
And none of this is revolutionary. I mean, it literally is Bishop and at my urging and at the needs of individual departments of just mining what basic functionality existed within Salesforce. We did not have large amounts of dollars to spend, even when the pandemic hit, to be able to do and create partnerships and to buy a lot of things to add to the process. We had to take and luckily we were already on the road to case management. So in that case, Bishop was able to, in many cases, duplicate some of the existing work he had done for the admissions office and expand it and customize it and modernize it and make it useful to individual departments. As I said earlier, this has increased efficiency by about 50%, which basically means the reduction in staff time. It's fewer interruptions for walk-ins. We have scheduled appointments. I used to refer to it as the Wild West. We're in the South in Florida, so I don't know if there's a Wild South sort of metaphor to throw in there, but it has led to a much more streamlined, much more centralized and focused process, which quite frankly, students have appreciated. And we've seen that in that increased engagement number we talked about. Now, I will say this, we're not going to run out here and claim that our enrollment is growing leaps and bounds. Community colleges like us took it in the throat with student enrollment over the past 2 years, but our enrollment has really stabilized. Students are being served at twice the level they were 3 or 4 years ago. And it's really expanded our ability to not only reach students, but to build the kind of relationships with them that we need to across campus. Bishop has said at some meetings that we have a 360-degree view of students. I don't know if it's 360 yet because we don't have ERP integration yet. We're still trying to fight that. Bishop works for me in the Office of Admissions, so we've literally taken a seed that started in admissions and student recruitment and been able to grow it like a weed in some cases across campus. It's truly a horizontal approach where people have latched on as they've needed to. And it was oddly fortunate, and I'm not saying it was prescient, we weren't fortune tellers, to be at a point before the pandemic struck where literally we were able to add a couple of lines to a pick list and then be digital the next day for students because we were already there. And look, I'm not claiming that that's, like I said, revolutionary for higher ed, but for a community college like us, where we sort of have to fight and scrape for everything, it was valuable to already be there. We also faced a significant amount since I came on board to sort of manage our admissions operations of passive resistance to Salesforce. Not because people didn't see its value, but because they also recognized that they were having to learn 4 or 5 other systems that the college had already dealt with, and they didn't immediately see it as something that was critical to them. Now, obviously, we have immediate buy-in, and those same passive resistors have become evangelists for what we do, to the point that we're now looking at a one-stop. Many of you are already at a one-stop, and we want to learn from you on how to do that. Case management, obviously, is the only way to do that. Our ecosystem now integrates prospective student data, current student data, which it didn't do before, and parent student data. We're getting closer to that 360-degree view. I think it's about 270 degrees, like I said. And Case allows for easy escalation, as Bishop showed you, not only within an office, but around the college and around the institution as well. We know that students don't care about our process. They care about their journey. They care about their adventure. And to them, process is a dirty word. So as much as we can make things as seamless for them as possible, the better. And I think we've seen some positivity in that regard. Bishop talked about some of the surveys that get sent out from our offices when students enter our lobbies and enter our ecosystem. Our surveys are usually glowing in terms of the service that we can provide, because we have made it as streamlined as possible. And that is by mining pretty much every single thing that we think Salesforce can do for us. And with that, that's all we have for a presentation. Kathy, I don't know if we have a couple of minutes for questions or not.
Yeah, we do have a couple minutes for questions, and we have some questions in the chat. I will ask them to you on behalf of the community. The first is, did you use the native case ownership field, or did you do assignment by maybe a custom lookup?
Bishop, I'll let you answer that.
So mostly we used just case ownership. So depending on the case owner, and we use the queue ownership. So it's a variety of different owners with. So.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like what we used to call a shared inbox, right? Having a queue is kind of like a shared inbox. And that's another thing that is a question in the chat window, the term lobby. Are you using that to say kind of your business areas like financial aid or admissions? And this is from KZ, Kathy Zimmerman. She's assuming so, and that would kind of flatten those silos. Is that true?
Yeah, that's absolutely part of it. Some of it's business model, some of it's, quite frankly, for internal politics sense. Is taking people that were used, and I look at it from that higher view. That's, I don't want to call it selling it. Well, during the pandemic in particular, your physical lobbies are closed. So that's why we sort of use that phrase, but it really is just a doorway. It's just an entry point. And I think when the time comes and we start, again, looking at a one-stop, we've got so many roads paved in that regard, it should be fairly easy.
Yeah, I really love that terminology, lobby. I hear it with Brian Krasinski as well at University of Florida. So maybe
we're all in Gainesville. So it's a Gainesville term. It's a Gainesville, Florida term. So I don't think we stole it from Brian, but we'll share it.
We're going to steal it because I think it's a great term. It doesn't matter what department it is. It's a lobby. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, Kathy, from the perspective of I didn't call them our customers, from our audience, from the people we serve, that's a term they understand.
Sure.
It's trying to keep it as simple as possible.
And, they don't care what department it is. They just want to have their question, answered, or their problem solved. I get it. Totally makes sense. We do have time for another question, just one.
Sure.
Can you help us understand, did you implement this just using declarative tools?
Sure.
Yes, we did. Implemented. I basically created within the process builder and using workflow rules. Some of the appointment setting or the appointment software that we use is third party, but building the actual lobby, I just used everything that was kind of in the box and just built it from there. And I really took advantage of the Salesforce online community to kind of learn everything that I could use. So It's all in the box stuff.
Yeah, I'm telling you, service out of the box with Salesforce is incredible baked-in functionality, isn't it?
I loved
Oh, it
Legos
is.
as a kid. You know, that's what it is. It's Legos. You know,
I
I mean, it
love it.
really is. Build what you
It
want.
is.
Build
I
what you
love
need.
it. Well, with that, I would like to say thank you to both of you for giving us an incredible session on case management.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having us.
everyone.
Yeah, for those of you who are interested in attending the next session, you can just hit the agenda button.